Hello and welcome everybody to another edition of Jam and Cheese. How's the knee going, my friend? Couple of weeks into the off season now. Any movements? I've seen you. No crutches gone.
No crutches gone. Yep. Brace is pretty much gone. It's not like I probably should be wearing it all the time, but I take it off every now and then, and because it gets a bit tight, and I try because I wanted to get straight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started training last week.
Oh, did you? What? Doing what?
Just like gym, and just basically the gym is my rehab on my knee as well. I didn't think I could do anything until for a while, but I do like backwards sled drags. In
the pool or?
Nah, on the ground.
Already?
Yeah. Get that quad fired up because at the moment it's a little bitch. It's tiny compared to the other one.
Yeah,
but it's just 20 kilo on the sled machine, so it's about 40 kilo.
Walk it backwards,
and then I walk it backwards. Yeah.
Do you do any bike yet or no?
Nah. Hopefully in a couple of weeks, do the bike. But
any pool?
Not really. There's not really a pool at the club, so.
Well, you can go somewhere else. There's a beach right down the road.
Yeah, the beach might be a little bit brazy. Just the uneven sand and all that.
Bondi icebergs.
Yeah, true.
You don't have a pool at Roosters?
I want to get my kid off down there at the moment, but it's a bit public down there, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I've lost a bit of weight, but I'm skinny fat. There's nothing worse than being skinny fat. Charlie would know.
Or just being fat.
No, but skinny fat's like you look skinny, but you get your rig out and you're actually fat. That's putrid. But yeah, it's coming along nicely. It got a little bit sore. I just come back from a wedding in Melbourne. So
nice. Whose wedding?
Chris Lewis.
Oh yeah.
You know the battler. Mm-hmm. He's actually. They actually said he got a job at Canberra Raiders. He's a vice coach there now or something.
Oh really?
Yeah. I don't know if that's come out in the public, but
it is now.
He married a Scots chick, and he wore like a kilt and everything.
Oh, did he?
It was in the botanical gardens at Fitzroy. Yeah, and you're like walking through, and I had no idea where to go, and then you just hear these bagpipes going off, and it kind of led you to a trail to like this fountain. But the wedding attire for the males, you had to wear old school footy jersey. So
what?
Yeah, so every male was just wearing an old school footy jersey.
No suits, just no ties.
No suits, no ties. I wore a Waikiki Rams one.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't mind that. And what about the ladies?
No, they were fully dressed.
Oh, they were fully dressed. Yeah, fair enough.
But, it was good.
It's good to hear, mate. Good to hear.
What did you get up to?
What did I get up to? Not a lot. Acting debut on. Actually, no. I was presenting the New South Wales Touch Awards on. Sorry, not presenting. I was talking there. Me and Joel Kane. That was good fun. On Saturday.
I was going to say presenting.
No, I wasn't presenting.
They really scraped the bottom of the barrel. They got a pommy to present the New South Wales.
Joel Kane hosted that. It was good fun. And then Sunday made my acting debut. It was released. Plum was out. We're talking to Brendan Cowell a little bit later on the show. So he was happy with the level of performance as well. He thinks I can go far in this business. So.
Any relation to Simon Cowell? No.
I'm going to guess no. I'm going to guess no. But
he reckons you can go far.
Yes, he did. What are you trying to say? You don't think I can?
No, I'm not. You can do anything, Jimmy. I've seen you do everything already, but
you seen me come off the top rope. You seen me act.
I've seen you severely assisted up onto the top rope. That's what
Mate,
he's giving me a death stare now.
Do you want me to tell you why? Last week I was saying about my leg doesn't talk, my brain doesn't talk to my leg, it won't go up. It's all about theatre, cheese. It's all about like that slow step, like is he gonna do it? It's to build suspense. If I just run up to the top rope, no one's going, oh, is he gonna go? It's all about building, like just teasing the audience about
Is this what
he's
Brandon...
taking another step. Oh my god, hang on, no way. He can't. If I just ran up to the top, they'd be like, oh my god, what's he doing? Oh, he's jumping off the top rope. You gotta feed into the narrative, cheese. It's all about building suspense. You can't just rush into these things. You gotta.
That sounds like an excuse, I'll be honest.
Well, or it's just
look like a bit of Father Time.
Justification, mate. It's all about the theatre. It's all about the theatre. It's been a big week in the off-field space of rugby league. Ezra Mam allegedly failed a drug test roadside by police. He's got. They're waiting to hear about the second roadside drug test. The collision with an Uber driver, again, allegedly unlicensed. He's got some issues at the Broncos that he's going to have to face if all is proven true, but he's got some issues with the law as well. How do you see this, Cheese? I mean, I guess Michael Maguire, new coach, this is not what he would be wanting to walk into day one.
Yeah, it's a tough one because there's still a lot of speculation around everything we know, and but what I've sort of had gathered that it was his fault. They haven't specified what drugs, but it's a failed drug test. Unlicensed, that's a big one. Like you said before, I think unlicensed means he's going to have to pay all damages. Yeah. He's probably going to lose his license for a little bit. Lose the license that he didn't even have for a little bit longer. But I think as far as Madge goes, it's quite a big kind of kick in the nuts. You know, you expect your players, I guess, well, you got a new coach coming in. You've had a bad year last year. Probably didn't perform up to your standards. Not just Ezra, but the Brisbane Broncos outfit as a whole. And you know, you go and do this to a coach that he's already got eyeballs on players that he wants to get rid of. He's already, you know, finding out where the culture in his team's going to come from. And I know for a fact Madge is he's highly against. As much as we had a good time together in the New Zealand outfit, but I know he's very against it because of the whole saga he went through with Dylan Walker and the sleeping tablets and all stuff like that, and that's bringing up old news. But
he's a very strict coach.
He's a very strict coach, and he's got a lot of morals, values.
Like very much football is everything.
And I don't see him taking this very, very well, especially when he's trying to go into this Brisbane Broncos outfit that has the ability to do so many good things on the field, and this isn't the type of action that a player with a strong moral value or an ability to bring culture into a team as a marquee player. So I don't know what Madge is going to do. There's not a lot of, you know, sixes with the ability that Ezra Mam has. So
I guess as well, like one of the criticisms of the Broncos from the outside looking in, from a multitude of people, was there seems to be a bit of a rock star mentality. They, you know, maybe not as much football focused. Now, there was nothing ever suggested like off the field. There was never any like they're partying too much or they're not focused on their football. It was just everything that came with being a Bronco, especially season 2023, that seemed to flow on into 2024 when they weren't as successful. And I think that got under the skin of especially some fans thinking, you know, why are they all over social media? Why are they, you know, and unfortunately this was the consequence of underperformances, you know, comments on what they're wearing, comments on the value of the trainers, the painted nails, all these things became an issue because that's what losing does. Now, winning solves everything because I'm not too sure if anything changed from 23 to 24 other than the performances and the results. But there was a focus on this quote-unquote rock star mentality. So Madge is in a position where it's probably something he needs to dial down. But again, I've said this before, it's going to be interesting to see how the players react to Maguire, but also how Maguire reacts to the players, because sometimes coaches, it's my way or the highway, right? And Madge probably did that at the Tigers. He had that same recipe for success at Souths. Wigan first worked. Souths worked. Tigers didn't work. Does he, maybe even looking back at his time when he finished at Souths, does he think, I probably should have changed? Maybe. Sets himself up the Tigers. Would he like some things again, his time over again, change a few things? Because his style didn't seem to work with that group of players. I don't know if New South Wales is a fair enough reflection because it is such a short camp. And I don't know if the New Zealand team is either because, again, it's such a short camp. You're dealing with the best of the best. Now, be interesting to see how Maguire goes in. Obviously, he's got this situation that he's got to deal with, but he knows he's under immediate pressure there. So if he doesn't get... I think what I'm trying to say is he's probably got... he's got to be careful not to get that low-hanging fruit and just get this team performing. But he's also got to know that if the players don't respond, he knows his runway is going to be small, and he knows that the pressure is instantaneous. He's got to get this team like winning and winning early. Like some coaches, they change to the group. Some coaches, it's my way or the highway. But I don't know what Maguire's going to do long term. I think with Ezra Mam, unfortunately for people listening and watching, it might, whether like there's talk that if all is proven guilty, you know, the club would have the grounds to sack him if they thought that was. But he's 21. His halves partner is in his early to mid 30s,
early 40s, nearly.
So, like that, they're gonna have to move on. Reynolds has probably got a year, maybe two left. Ezra Mam, star of the future. Do they let him go? You know, they're gonna then who do they replace him with? They've got the issue of Cobbo and Staggs. Might be like, well, we want to keep both of them. If we get rid of Ezra, we can keep both of them. These are the conversations that will be happening. As wrong as that may seem, that's probably it is what's happening.
Yeah, I don't think the Broncos can deal or come back from losing Mam, if I'm honest. I don't think they can sack him and think they're a viable chance at any finals footy next year with Aaron Woods, Adam Reynolds at halfback, very injury prone, and you know, hopefully he can get a whole season, but it's likely you won't see a whole season for Renault, and there's just not really, I guess, the quality of a Mam on the bench and unfortunately, they probably won't be seeing him for about 8 weeks. I would say it'd be about an 8-week suspension with any law ramifications.
Well, I think Trindle got 4. I think A.K.A. got 4. But I think there's definitely, again, if all proven right, there's...
Yeah, those are just pulled over, though. This is like potential... He's
caused an injury to a 4-year-old child.
Yeah, this is potential to be in prison stuff, you know what I mean? If God forbid it didn't go any worse. But at the same time, like, you feel for him. He's made a bad mistake, a really bad mistake, and he'll have to learn from it. I know anyone that goes through a situation like that, it can either be a life-changing event that turns your whole life around and makes you, turn into a sort of a beast, I guess. And I'm hoping that's how it turns out for him. I think he checked into a rehab facility.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, obviously, I don't know the full extent of what he's going through, but I've definitely been through that sort of fire before, and it's not going to be easy for a long time, and especially while you're away from your team when you can't. That's probably the hardest thing was, you can't really help out your team when you know you want to, and that's just something he's going to have to deal with, and it's part of it.
I think obviously moving on, Kevin Walters, in comes Maguire. I think nobody thought that he was going to be dealt with something that could make or break him. This really could. I think this could be the making or breaking of Maguire and his Brisbane Broncos career. Like getting this test so early. Again, if everything is one thing we know, he's going to be without Ezra Mam. Well, sorry, in all likelihood, he will be without Ezra for the beginning of the season. Like how he manages that, but then also what he, because it's going to be on him whether or not they talk to move on. There was talk I read yesterday that if that happens, they would bring in Ben Hunt. I don't know if Ben Hunt and Reynolds go together at all. Like, absolutely not.
Are Dragons definitely letting him go?
Well,
I've read so many mixed things about that.
We'll get to that. Just to wrap up the Ezra Mam situation, look, our thoughts are with the victims in the crash, especially the 4-year-old girl. That would be pretty horrendous as a parent to go through that. Ezra's trying to piece his life together right now. Thoughts are with him. And again, if everything is proven, I think this could make or break Maguire. He either puts that line in the sand. He has the potential to put that line in the sand and say, not on my watch, and see who comes with him. And maybe that makes him, maybe that breaks him. Or he goes, look, guys, Ezra's messed up here. Deal with the big suspension. But we're going to show that we're not going to tolerate this. Big fine, big suspension. Let's go moving forward. Again, which could make or break him. But yeah, the Ben Hunt situation, Cheese, is getting stranger by the day. Media reports saying it's almost becoming untenable there, the situation. It's the story that just won't go away, and it hasn't for years now. Date back to Anthony Griffin's time at the football club, where him and Ben were obviously very close. I think he was made promises that weren't kept. Griffin left or was sacked. Ben wanted to go. Flanagan says, no, you're going nowhere. 12 months later, he's in the final year of his contract. Dragons, I understand, have said, we can't offer you a position yet, post 2025. So he's free to negotiate now for season 2026, which is farcical. We've spoken about this in the Rugby League round table, which we've had, currently had expansion, player movement, and referees / bunker. If there is anybody that would like to comment about what other episodes we could feature, please do. But it is a bit of a joke that Ben Hunt in October 2024 can speak to clubs about season 2026. But I don't know if a club would look at a mid-30s halfback at that time. I think it looks like he wants to go now. But then where?
Well, who's he linked with?
There's talk of the Titans and maybe moving some of the parts there. There's talk of big talk of the Dolphins, but again, they've got Katoa. Even talk of some Sydney clubs, the Dogs, talk of the Knights.
The Knights.
But
who have they got?
Well,
I know it's a short-term fix, but
they've got a combination of Hastings, Gamble, Cogger, Crossland.
Yeah, I think. Well, I can't see Bulldogs, and if Bulldogs do go in that avenue, I think it's the wrong sort of decision. With Toby Sexton being there, and like he's already been a part of a team that's had him for a bit and then shafted him, and then look how well he went at Bulldogs. So I just don't see if that's a smart move by the Bulldogs to take on Ben Hunt when you're going to get probably 1 to 2 years max out of him, whereas Toby Sexton started to really hit his shine at the back end. But I see the Knights as not with Jackson Hastings been linked to a lot of other clubs as well, and I guess that club needs a little taste of short success. Yeah. And Ben Hunt can probably provide a bit more than what the players were, but
I just don't know if it's got
everything. I just don't know until I've read that Ben Hunt signed with somewhere, because I've read somewhere that they said they're not going to let him go anyways.
Yeah, but then they're in pursuit of Gutherson, the A.K.A, I think they're talking with, and a couple of others to come to next year. Now, if they moved Ben Hunt, that would free some cap space up. I think the idea would be potentially Gutherson at 6, Kyle Flanagan at 7, because I think the comments from Ben Hunt said that Gutherson coming in, he plays 6, and that means Kyle going. I don't think that went down well, with obviously Shane coaching there. But look, I think everybody deserves an answer soon. I don't, to be honest, I don't know how Ben can go back in. He's obviously in Australia camp now, so he probably wouldn't be required to go back in to the Dragons until January. Like, it's going to be a bit awkward, to say the least.
Yeah, it's funny that, not NRL related, but like, I got a friend that plays AFL. His name's Clayton Oliver, and he requested a trade from his club the day before the presentation night. And he still rocked up.
Really?
Yeah, and there's like photos of him and stuff. It's that funny. But yeah, the ball's on the lad. That's pretty much the same as Ben Hunt, what he's doing. So
yeah, I don't know.
And it's tough for another club. Like, he's demanding a big pay pack. If Dragons do want to get rid of him to sign all these players, they're going to need to get rid of him at a high price.
Well, I think he's on
1.2?
8 now. I think.
Or did he go down?
I think he went down like 9s maybe. But still, that's a decent chunk. But if they've got eyes on the likes of A.K.A and Gutherson for next year, I think they'll need to get some cap space. Another player linked to be on the move, my old mate John Bateman, Manly, with the Tigers going to tip in. I think it'd be a great move for John. It's not really worked at the Tigers, but geez, the Tigers need some forward stocks. I know they've had some good recruits in Luai, in Taruva, Royce Hunt there, Jack Baird, but they're light on the forwards. They lose Papali'i, Bateman maybe, obviously Stefano as well. Like, what have you made of John Bateman recently in NRL? Cheese.
I don't know. It's hard to mate. It's hard to say anything about a player that's playing for the Tigers, because it goes to show you need quality around you.
Yeah,
like you put Nathan Cleary in that Tigers side. It's a bit of a different Nathan Cleary, I think. It's just, but I think Johnny, the way he plays is that freedom role and just doing sort of the awkward play style, which really suited Canberra, because Canberra was just that unorthodox team, and they always have been, they always will be, that team that just stirs you up and you know what I mean? And that's why I think Johnny Bateman has so much success there. But when you go to a team like the Tigers and you're skipping around and no one's pushing for you, you kind of you kind of just look like an idiot, because it looks like you don't know what you're doing, but really you're looking for opportunities from your other teammates. But there wasn't quite that at the Tigers. Manly might be a different outfit, because the amount of times Manly shift the ball, and they're just always playing that up tempo sort of, we're going to split you apart to then power through the middle sort of role. I think it'll be hard for him to get in the starting side. I mean, who are they?
Oh no, because I think at the back end of it was Benny Trbojevic was playing left back row.
Yeah, right.
Or maybe Carl Lawton. No, it was Lawton. Lawton came in. Oh no, Lawton was. He was left. Olakwatu was right. So Olakwatu's one edge. Bateman would be the other, because it was Lawton who was, I think, moving on, or basically a dummy half anyway. So there's a position there for him.
Yeah,
I think it'd be a great signing for Manly. I really do. I think like what you say. Like, imagine Bateman. He reminds me of a middleweight boxer, the way he moves around. Like, he jinks, and he did do quite a bit of boxing, but like, he'll come back against the grain imagine him linking up with the likes of Turbo, Kohler, Hopawate.
Yeah.
Like
people that if I come back through the middle, I know Trbojevic is going to be there.
Yeah, so and
then a little offload offload to Cherry Evans, something like that, and then Cherry Evans just zings at the other side of the field. That's what I can see a lot of. It's just adding a different dimension to a team's game. I think that's what Johnny Bateman's strength is.
I think he'd really suit the Manly Seagulls. Tanner Boyd also linked to Manly, probably as a bit of a backup for Cherry Evans, and Leo Thompson to the Bulldogs, which wouldn't be till season 2026. He's going to
be a great signing for the Bulldogs.
He's a beast.
Yeah. They call him Mini Fish. You know, Fisher Harris.
Oh, right, yeah.
Their bloody attitude, like, I don't know, what do you say? Their, like, whole demeanour and personality and thing is exactly the same. Well, like, they're quiet, they're intimidating, and, like, you can just, like, he's a natural born leader. I know he's young, but, I think he's going to be a good player, especially coming from the from Kiwis camps and hearing about him and his training ethic and his work ethic, I should say. If Bulldogs can nail that one, that's a really good signing, especially with their forward pack and their building towards something special, that team. So
yeah, I'm with the Cheese. He would be an outstanding signing. Bit of a recap from the weekend's game. Tonga, look, apparently the Tonga-Australia game, the PNG-Fiji game have rated really well, which I'm delighted to see. It was a decent crowd on there as well. At Suncorp, for me, Tonga had plenty of opportunity. They just couldn't ice their moments. They threw that intercept pass, which sort of messed them around a little bit. But I thought it was a good game. But I think Tonga would relish the opportunity to play Australia again and just fix a few things up with their goal line attack.
Yeah, I guess that was the thing is the Aussies' defence was they did a very good job. You can tell there's a bit of a Penrith influence inside that squad, and I thought the Aussies were pretty. They weren't gelled like they usually are. They weren't on par with what they need to be, but they won the game at the end of the day. You know what I mean? They didn't let their opponents score. I'd rather win 36. I'd rather win 18-0 than 36-20.
Yeah,
something like that. You know what I mean? Or 36-10. I'd rather win 18-0. But Tonga, mate, they have a dangerous forward pack. That's what I found interesting is how well they could just, even though they got put in bad positions, because of their forward pack and their outside backs, they could always just manage to get their way out of it. And that's sort of the problem against the teams like Aussie and Penrith and Melbourne for that, is you can't really get field position against them. But when you've got, Jason Taumalolo, Ola Kawatu, who's that big ass Adam Fanua bloke?
Yeah.
When you got them going one after the other, it's they're an exciting team to watch.
Yeah.
But obviously probably a bit more class in the halves.
I think the centres probably Turbo and the Hammer. The Hammer looked like he was dialed in. Like he's so good. Like
he never looks like he cares about how he's playing or anything.
It'd be interesting to see. Obviously, there was some question marks over Dylan Edwards, but like you said, mate, they won 18-0. You don't change that team, but look, the Hammer unfortunately can play centre. There's a suggestion he should be the Queensland fullback. Now I know they've got Walsh and Ponga. I don't know if Hammer gets the respect that he deserves at fullback.
Yeah,
I really don't. In fact, he doesn't. We know he's class, but he doesn't get anywhere near the level of respect that I think he deserves.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only problem he has at fullback, like he's probably better at with the ball than nearly every fullback in the comp. But I think his positional play on the line is where he gets found out. I think we scored like 5 tries against them when we played them. Sammy Walker.
Yeah. Those.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I do remember actually. Yeah.
And that was a big game plan against Hammer, and I think that's something if he gets that down pat.
Yeah, that's fair. Big congratulations as well to PNG getting the win over Fiji. Massive upset. Nene McDonald had an absolute blinder. He said he'd be willing to come back to the NRL. He's happy over there at Salford, but if the door comes knocking, then he'd be keen to come back. JD as well, coaching influence there. Papua New Guinea got them firing. Let's look ahead at the weekend's games. We got Fiji, Cook Islands. Surely Fiji have got to be too strong and bounce back from that defeat against PNG.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't really know the Cook Islands side without the teams in front of me right now.
It's a bit of a strange, like Brad Takarangi playing. They've got Mawali from South. So there's a couple of decent players there, but Fiji definitely should be too strong.
Yeah, if we're just going on paper alone, for sure. But like PNG, you wouldn't be able to name too many of those players. So that's what I love, though. If the international comp can start to become like rugby union at the moment, it's got a good little. The international footy's always been a lot better, but the competition is. The gap is really decreasing between teams. Like Argentina can beat New Zealand on their day and stuff like that. And it's good to see PNG.
Italy go all right. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Italy, stuff like that. So hopefully we start to see that gap closing a bit more.
Well, with PNG, it's a huge boost for the new franchise team coming in. The fact that the PNG lads played so well. But yeah, I'm with you for Fiji against the Cook Islands. Sunday afternoon, New Zealand take on Australia. Cheese. Keanu Keeney named to start at fullback. That lad's good.
The boy can move.
He is good. What do you make of Sean Johnson coming back in?
The last dance. Shit. If we don't got motivation, man, we need a bit. It's awesome for Shawnee. I know, it's his last year of football this year, but what a way to go out. If the boys could get him a dub against Australia, what a way to go out. My first game with the SJ actually for the Kiwis, we actually beat the Aussies, so unfortunately can't be with them in the game, but he's done so much for the jersey. He broke your heart in 2013.
Thanks.
I'll never forget that highlight reel, seeing that. Who did he get that step on?
George Burgess.
Sorry, Georgie. But just the amount of kids that used to run around going, Sean Johnson. And he played with my older brother, so I watched Sean play from like under 13s. But he was tiny, bro. Like he was proper tiny in all those grades, but just no one could really touch him. And he just had that mad touch highlight, but it's been a privilege for me to play alongside him, play against him, and I wish him all the best for this game. But I hope the boys can do it for him.
Chancellor Klukstad in the 6 jersey as well. Crossland in the 9, Keeney at fullback, like we said. Probably a bit of a mismatch in the centres. Peter Hicko, Timoko versus the Hammer and Trebojevic.
Did Peter Hicko get off? What a joke that was.
Who you liking, Cheese? Is probably a stupid question, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the Kiwis get it done. But it's a real tight game, 16-14.
You reckon?
Yeah, it's not going to be 30-0 again.
I'm going to say I hope New Zealand win, but I think Australia will. They say I'm going to say New Zealand are saving themselves for the final. But then if they get there, they got it. If they lose, they'd have to beat Tonga. But I think Aussies will be a bit more in cohesion. They looked a little bit out of sync, but I think a week will do them the world of good. Charlie left off the rundown, England v Samoa. So obviously it's not important to Charlie, but it's important to me. But I will be backing England to get the victory over the Samoans.
Just because you chose the Aussies just then, I'm actually going to back the Samoans.
All right.
In an absolute fucking flogging.
Well, England owe them. Last time they played them, World Cup semi-final, Samoa beat us. So I hope the boys are fired up. Spoke to a few lads in camp. They're very excited.
That's the thing about England. They're bloody hard to beat over in England, I tell you that much.
We've got some burning questions that we're going to do throughout the midweek shows. Cheese. Answer burning questions for 2 NRL clubs each week. Today, we're doing our teams. So we've got the Roosters and the Bulldogs. Firstly, I'll go to you. Has the Roosters Premiership window slammed shut?
I don't think so. Obviously, I've.
Imagine if you. Yeah.
Yeah, we're actually fucked. No, I don't think so. I think, you got to remember the Roosters is the greatest franchise at signing players in the world, and this is only the start of the off-season. You wait till November 1, man.
Do you reckon there'll be some more
we'll probably get Moses. No, but there's just a lot of stuff to, still, I guess, watch out for. I don't know who we're signing. I don't sit at the round table yet, but there's still a lot of things that we can improve on and a game style that we could probably improve on. And although we've got some experience leaving, we've got some young players coming up that haven't really been properly tested.
When are you and Sam back?
I think May, Sam. I think I'm June.
Right. So you're going
to... I missed about 10 games.
March, April.
10, 12.
May. Yeah. It's not ideal. That I know. I'm not telling you. I'm not telling you anything you don't know.
Now we have a firm grip on the fucking obvious.
Just walk in. Hey, Robbo, guess what? I've just figured something out.
Me and Jimmy were talking about
this injury to me and Sam. It's not ideal, is it? Really? And he just goes, "Oh my God."
Bring him in for the coaching meeting.
I'm interested to see how.
Have you ever seen Ted Lasso?
Yes,
great show.
I
love Ted.
It's all right. It's all right. I didn't mind it. I'm not a big fanboy of it. Like some people milk it.
I only watched 5 episodes, man.
I'm really interested to see how the Roosters go. I think they probably do need to strengthen. It'll be an interesting year. But Robbo, you couldn't back against them, and they're not a team that do rebuild. So, yeah. And then this next one is, how did the Bulldogs improve on last year with a roster that hasn't really improved? That's a question from Charlie. Well, they've brought in Amone, the front rower from Lee. I think there's another side. Montoya potentially coming
Who's
in as
Amone?
Oh, is Montoya done deal? All right, okay. So Montoya comes in. I like that signing. He's back to the club. He was a front rower. From
what's his first name? Tom?
Yes, it is. Yeah. He goes. He's done a really good job over there.
I played Kiwis with him.
So look, I think now it's on some of those players to go and improve again. So if you look at the beginning of the season, the end of the season, you get those areas right, you're more than likely top 4. So losses actually at the start of the season they were one from 4, and they lost to teams that finished down the very bottom end of the table. And then you look for improvements in people like Cherry. You look for improvements in people, like Preston hasn't reached his straps. Obviously, we got Takiyaho coming in. No, not Takiyaho. Tupanua. Yeah, I forgot Tupanua. I think I can potentially see him playing in the front row.
Lock roll, back row.
Yeah, sorry, forgot about Tupanua. Charlie, you said that it hasn't really improved.
For me, it has improved. I think it's pretty simple for me. Like, how do the Bulldogs improve? For me, it's just now they've played a season where they were genuinely successful. They exceeded pretty much everyone's expectation except yours. You got it right on the money. And for me, that's belief in the team. Like, how did Penrith improve on last year's roster, even though they didn't improve? Penrith, it's just another year for Bulldogs to learn their structure of their game, learn what works for them, because obviously they play a different role. They don't have forward pack, so they play that expansive ball playing, string a few passes together, and they've got another year of practice in that.
Yeah.
And then obviously the defence didn't work out last year for them. They were woeful in defence. Now they're second best defensive club in the comp. That's another year of belief and another year of just learning that structure under Ciraldo. And I think that's where they improve. It's not about bringing in new players to make their team improve. It's just making those players that are already there, and a couple of that are coming, but making those players that are already there continually improve the team.
Well, even a guy like Sexton, right? Who
exactly.
will be better for more experience. He didn't start the season. It was Hutchison. So I think Sexton will definitely improve again.
Yeah.
For me, my worry is that the Bulldogs just think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
They can't afford to do that. I think that's what happened to the Warriors this year. I think they fell into the trap of just thinking, we've got this wave of support. Everybody loves us. We're in vogue. You know, we'll just continue where we left off. If the Dogs fall into that trap like the Warriors did, then they'll struggle. But if they don't, if they, you know, keep on looking to improve, approach each game with the attitude of we've got to go and earn these victories, they'll be just right, and we get squeeze a little bit more out of some of those players. I think they'll be there or thereabouts this year. All right, Cheese.
What?
We'll be back with Brendan Cowell, who will be joining the show. So joining us on the bye round, Brendan Cowell, after Sunday's release of Plum on ABC iView and on ABC. How has the show been received so far?
And good to see you, mate.
Yeah,
A fellow cast member.
It's
almost like the rap party now.
Yeah.
No, really well. You know, it's a funny one from making films previously. It's a very intense time because you're just hoping enough people go to your movie so it stays in the cinema. Because if people stop going to your movie, it could only be on for 10 days and you've spent 5 years on it. And you're like, oh, that was a quick 10 days. But with telly, it was a different feeling because I went, oh, it's on the telly now.
Yeah.
People can watch it forever. You know, it doesn't have that tension. Of course, it's still driven by numbers, but as I've discovered, I'm new to this first show I've made as a showrunner. The numbers were fantastic, considering we're up against all those vote me out of the kitchen, off the island, silly shows that people watch. And and the ABC iView is building, the word of mouth strong. I got harassed by 3 80-year-old women in Coogee Baths this morning. There's Plum, you know. And I thought, hey, that's my demographic actually. And so, mate, it's been amazing. And also a lot of the DMs that I'm getting are just beautiful. I wrote on Instagram, I hope this show helps.
Yeah.
What it helps, I don't know. But I just want it to help. And a guy saying today in a comment, you know, this show kind of covers all the awkward, difficult stuff in life, you know, which I think at the end of the day, beyond the issues and rugby league and such, it's kind of about a guy trying to get through some big life shit and with the people he loves. And how do you do that? You know what I mean? When it's really complicated. So I feel like when it comes down to it, it's about those relationships. It's exciting. I can feel something building that Australia is really starting to connect with it.
Yeah, because this isn't just about ex-contact sport athletes, people that have been in physical jobs. There's an element there, and it speaks to men's health in general, right? And some of the routines that we can fall into, what we consider normal. As blokes, you know, you spoke before about, you know, is it normal to have X number of schooners on a quiet night? And, you know, maybe some of those conversations that maybe we don't have with somebody else that maybe we have with ourselves.
Yeah, it was similar to how, you know, a lot of the players I spoke to about post-career, they kept calling me, you know, because people in the media say, who did you ask questions to? Well, a lot of the guys I spoke to kept calling me. They wanted to talk about it. And I have a feeling that maybe there could be a forum going forward that's not surrounded by 10 schooners where ex-players and ex-swimmers, ex-everything, athletes who work at that level like you did, could have a forum to go, how's your head, how's your body, where you at? Because what you guys did for so long was so intense and amazing and we all revered it, and then it's over. So on one hand, I think that's what I wanted to talk about too. I hadn't seen a show about a guy getting to 50 going, what do I do with this body? And what is my identity now? And I know there's a lot of depression that can come around that. So I wanted to kind of talk about that in the hope that some of those blokes might reach out. The other thing is tough guys, Australian males, they're not often given a license to say, I'm stressed, I'm emotional, I'm scared.
And I'm struggling.
I'm struggling.
I'm struggling. I'm not who I used to be.
Yeah.
My capabilities are nowhere near what it used to be. I'm lost.
I'm lost. And how do you admit that? Who do you admit it to?
Yeah.
You know, often we'll admit it to the taxi driver after 12 schooners or something. Yeah. Someone really the hairdresser, someone really random we'll take counsel with. But an ice show in Plum, there's these three mates at the pub and they're talking shit and there's gay jokes, gambling jokes, all this unusual crap. What happens when you push those guys and go, guys, I'm a bit stuffed? You know, what do they do? Are they real mates? Are they real friendships and stuff? And also the Australian, the male, and I'm sure it's the same in England, having lived there for 8 years. What do you do when something gets to you? Push it down, drink, lie, hide, you know, all those kind of things. But they're short-term solutions and they're only going to make it worse. So I'm kind of suggesting maybe a new idea of bravery, a new idea of masculinity, which is maybe instead of thinking that it's tough to not bother people, maybe it's tough to bother people.
Yeah.
And go, hey, mate, could we go for a smoothie and a walk? I'm struggling.
I think as well with a lot of people in that, I guess, that high adrenaline, very physically active. You know, I always think about my sports career. It appealed to my sense of purpose, sense of meaning, and I know that, you know, I'm not the only one that when we talk about feeling lost, when we talk about identity, it is filling that void, filling that sense of purpose. A lot of us just want something to do, some guidance. It's been the constant in our lives since as far back as almost we can remember. For me, it was the age of 7. Yeah. It's like, this is constant.
For you, it gave you a life out of maybe going the wrong path, right?
Absolutely.
So then you dedicate everything to it because you're like, this thing saved me.
And also, look, it's funny, I was speaking with Matt Cameron, who's the Penrith Panthers football CEO, and he speaks about providing the athletes with something else. And that is commonplace now, and I get that. But a lot of athletes, whatever their chosen sport is, they go all in, and they have to go all in. They have to risk it all in order to achieve. They can't be sidetracked by, you know, alternative options. It's, I'm all in at this. It works. But then when it's all you know, it can be quite, well, no, it is difficult to navigate life when that's all you've ever known.
And do you think it's a physical thing or a mental thing?
Both.
Both, because your body
emotionally as well
was a machine.
It was emotionally invested in this common, like I say, the sense of purpose. I say this often as well, where rugby league is a made-up game with made-up rules, but it makes grown men cry. It appeals to my sense of purpose. It made my world go round. So I think a lot of us ask, well, now what? And look, there'll be plenty of people listening to this going, well, yeah, you had that great life, get on with it. I don't want any sympathy for what I did and who I was, but let's provide people with a pathway and give them some structure, give them some resources to say, tell us how you feel. Let's put some things in place to improve these people. And also I think the main thing I want to say is that I think that these people have got something to offer society based off what they did, whether it be football, league, AFL, swimming, police, service people,
soldiers.
So ex-military is huge.
Exposed to explosions.
Yeah.
And for the ones that don't go into the commentary box or into a media career, happen to be as good looking as yourself, probably an acting career, but we'll get to that. there's a whole subsection of blokes that didn't go up to the commentary box and didn't.
Well, most don't.
What are those blokes
Yeah.
up to? And that's where I aimed Plum at, and I'm getting some beautiful messages on the Instagram saying thank you, and from wives and from ex-players and guys that didn't go all the way and stuff going, I finally feel seen and stuff like that, which is really amazing. And that drop-off after career can be really confusing, especially when you've played a contact sport. And I guess what Plum's confusion, I feel like a lot of blokes are relating to, and whether to kind of bottle it up or whether to express it, and whether that's embarrassing. And I guess I'm looking for a moratorium on the fact that the brain is different to parts of the body. It's an organ. It's an organ in your skull. So if you had a pain in your elbow, your knee, your spine, you'd probably go and get your spine fixed, your knee fixed, your elbow fixed. Your brain is more sensitive than all those other parts of your body. Why, when the brain has a complaint, do we go, it's all good, it's all good? We'll go and get our teeth fixed, our elbow, our knee, our back. Brain's having a problem. It's no problem. There's no problem. Drink, it's fine. Everyone leave me alone. It's just a part of your body that's aching. But for some reason, we see it as kind of effeminate, embarrassing, emasculating to admit that our brain is a part of our body that is unwell at the moment.
Well, the default position is I'm okay.
I'm okay.
I'm all right.
Yeah.
Like I'm okay. And I guess with what I've learned with this type of injury, it does compound over time. The overwhelming majority of the time, there's with a brain injury, it isn't the impact and the consequence is not immediate. It's usually built up over time, and I guess you can almost liken it to smoking in a way where you smoke a cigarette or drink a beer or don't exercise, eat bad food. You're probably not going to feel that straight away, but you compound that over weeks, months, years, decades, then you will pay the price later on. But
it'll build up on you. And we used to smoke stivos at the bar at the Rose of Erskineville. Like you just sit there with an ashtray at the bar. It's wild to think of those times now.
Yeah,
there was 100 people just ripping into darts at the bar.
And I guess there is a long-term consequence for this, and I don't know if we can completely cease the decline, but we can certainly start to put the brakes on things by some things that we do, or some things that we choose not to do as well.
I'd love there to be a place for ex-players to talk. I was talking to an ex-swimmer, Australian swimmer, and he was talking about how guys that like you that push it on field, you are prone to high risk in other elements of your life.
Absolutely.
Where you go, okay, I'll try that. I'll live on the edge there. If it's on the booze, or if it's with money, or if it's with your body, or if it's just, you've just done some WWF. We've got to say you probably risked your life in that with the wrestling.
Coming off the top rope.
Coming off the top rope. Acting with me, pretty terrifying.
Risked it all there. Risked reputation there. Like, exactly. Mate, you risked it with my friends to be like, mate, who do you think you're becoming?
Yeah.
Like,
you stepped over the line there, mate. But you guys are prone to going, the Greek notion of the sublime. That little extra, that bit higher. That photo of Michael Jordan when you're like, how is he still in the air? You know what I mean? You guys push that on the field, hey, maybe I could do that. It's Golden Point. I'll find another gear. It's the semis. It's this. I'll get that guy. You and Sam Burgess, Andrew John. Like, what's next? What's faster?
Yeah.
And that affects other parts of your life.
It does.
Because the difference between you guys and mere mortals like myself is that you're like, I'm going to win that from when you're 4 or 5, right? You've got this thing that the rest of us don't have. And I know there's a response, like a lazy response in the brain, that apparently like your body can probably run for quite a long time, but all of us will be running and I'll go, oh, I'm a bit tired. I think that's as far as I can run. And depending on your brain makeup, some people are like, I haven't felt it yet. Or I felt it and I'll keep going. And athletes seem to have that, and that's got to affect other elements.
It does. And I guess it affects how and why we make decisions. And look, I think we are more susceptible to risk-taking behaviour. Now, that's not going to excuse certain types of behaviour and decision-making, but I think the support and education probably isn't where it's at in order to say, hey, look, we recognise that you are way more susceptible to making these decisions and engaging in this risk-taking behaviour, but let's educate you on maybe why you make some of those decisions and tap into some of that, what you've been through in life, and not look. It doesn't have to be this way. We can find some other avenues to maybe look at risk-taking behaviour and giving you the tools to overcome those decisions, because you're not going to get the highs and lows of sport.
It's not going to end well.
And those decisions that a lot of people make, they tend not to end well.
And that's what Plum presents, is connection. Connection is the opposite of isolation. When we isolate ourselves, we can start convincing ourselves of things in the mind. And Plum connects with this poetry club, connects with these dead poets, starts writing things down. Suddenly he's no longer alone. That's what I found when I was 14. Parents getting divorced, getting bullied at school for being the drama kid, thinking maybe you should kill yourself, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? Found a voice with writing and with theatre, and went, this is me. I can feel, and I guess it's the beauty of sports is you see kids on a cricket field, someone hits the ball, he grabs it, throws it to the keeper runs the guy out. 3 people just did something together. And then they all high-five and you go, isn't that great?
Yeah.
For children, they did something together. And sport's amazing like that. And so I guess what Plum is suggesting, that creativity is a state of mind, connection's the opposite of isolation. Find something to connect to. You've got this amazing media career and you're on Triple M, and you seem, and same with looking at Andrew and Braith and Asta and guys that read and are doing things and trying to find different ways to connect. That's what from my research, and also from kind of suffering from, being a guy that's had, issues with substance abuse, is that the more I can connect with things now, the less that stuff lives. You know what I mean? That stuff seems to fade in the background when I'm connected, when I have a purpose. And you might be surprised where you'll find it.
Well, because it connects a sense of purpose. It becomes more important than that. Those things that bring about, what would be the correct phrase? That instant
gratification.
Gratification.
Yeah, the dopamine.
That like quick fix,
adrenaline.
Easy, bang.
Yeah.
Those things that bring about that quick gratification, short-term gratification, instant gratification.
Fill in the void.
Fill that void versus, there's something bigger at play here. Yeah. It's interesting what you say about finding purpose through writing and poetry. I say this and I get laughed at a lot about when people talk about letting their sons or daughters play contact sport. And I say, well, that's fine. But whatever you do not replace it with writing or poetry. And people often laugh. And I go, well, no, but there's plenty of studies and evidence out there that would suggest that writing and poetry can, it reduces well-being markers in the long term.
God, who you been talking to? I think you brought this up when I was on last time. But it's been proven that reading Shakespeare can basically cure children's depression because of the imagery, connecting with the beautiful dance of words. My mum's reading to students at Marrickville Public School, and all the kids are trying to get in there. Their moods, they feel,
do you think
has all altered because they're connecting with beautiful images and each other and laughing. I can't really see how that could ever be bad.
But do you think that writing, particularly poetry, might attract a certain darker personality type?
Yeah, but that's where poetry is art in a void, right? Like, it's not like a podcast or theatre where it's meant to be for others. It's meant to be for you to make sense of the world. If these poets ended up taking their own life or whatever happened back in these times, that was to do with their own inevitability. Like, they had this palpable mental condition, I'd say, a lot of them. Poetry probably kept them alive for a long time. Why poetry is amazing to read is you probably should never read it. It's a window into a soul. You know, when I write a poem, it's my deepest, darkest. It's how I see the world. It's unabashed because I'm not trying to sell it to a theatre company or ABC or put it on a podcast. I'm writing it to solve something. I'm writing it to kind of breathe, to make sense of this baffling experience called human life.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's what it can do, and that's what it does with Peter Lum. The reason why a lot of men find themselves saying the wrong things in stressful situations with kids and wives and work is because they don't yet know what they feel or what they think.
So use it as like an outlet.
Use it as a way of making sense of your own chaos and your own confusion, right? Inventory. If you get to the end of every night and you just write down highlights of your day, stuff that confused you, a bloke that pissed you off, who was at Triple M or whatever, who said something in the corridor, and you're like, what'd that piss me off for? I don't even know why. Write it out and you'll go, oh, that's all a bit silly and I probably should have, you know, who cares? Or, you know, you might end up letting something go. Or you might end up saying, I'm actually angry at my neighbour or my best mate because of that, and I might just call him up and say sorry and, hey, let's work it out. You know, if you write things down, whether it's a poem, that connection between hand to paper, this is an ancient tribal practice.
I need to get back into
you'll
like
find
keeping a
yourself lighter.
Yeah. Like
and then when you get in an argument or you get in a situation, you'll go, well, I'm working on this and I've thought about this and I'm sorry or I'm this.
Well, that's it.
Because you know now.
It's writing, but it's also thinking. Like thinking through your day, like, okay, well,
thinking through
what was the highlight of the day?
Yeah.
Okay, well, this was, and that made me feel good. Why? Because, okay, well, I'll do that again.
Yeah.
What was something I'd like back? Well, you know, I said this. That was pretty stupid. Or I acted this way. You know what?
Well, what upset me, that comment.
Yeah, given the opportunity, I'd do this differently. And you actually problem solve, and it's almost self-help for yourself.
And then you might at the end go, do you know what? I'm going to call my best mate tomorrow and tell him how much I appreciate him or thank him for helping me move house or for always being there for me when other blokes didn't, or always asking me how I am. You know what I mean? And sometimes if you help a lot of blokes, you don't get asked how you are. You know, and sometimes it's important to go, I'm going to call that bloke and see how his business is going or his marriage is going or whatever. And it just kind of helps you put your life in perspective and come to an understanding of your own rich, emotional, mental tapestry. And then you can go out into the world. Guys are never going to stand in a circle and go, I'm having a tough week, Jeremy. You know what I mean? It's not kind of inbuilt. But if we can work out how we feel, we might be able to behave better under pressure.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Is my preach.
Brendan, we have filmed Plum together. What are we doing next?
Well, the good news is I would love to do another TV show with you.
Oh, mate, I'm
of the 4 or 5 footy players in there. And look, Spud Carroll, if you're listening to this, just turn it off for the next 30 seconds. I love you, buddy, so much. You know, even I went for a swim with the 8th Immortal yesterday, and he said, geez, that James Gray, and he was actually good, wasn't he? So you've got the nod of who I think is the greatest to ever play the game. maybe not the greatest to ever grace the set.
Yeah,
but the greatest to ever play the game, I would say. But yeah, man, I thought you ripped it apart. Also, big pressure. You were the first scene of the show.
I know.
You had a big performance, a big role, playing a Super League coach, a couple of big lines.
Well, some people might, you're either in or you're off. Some people might see that and go,
We could have cut you out. And also, it was an hour and a half to go in the whole, we've been shooting for 9 weeks. We had to get you to Queensland or something. I think you were commentating. We only had 40 minutes to shoot it, and the stretcher was looking shit. We ended up cutting the stretcher. It was one of those chaotic scenes where we didn't have our act together, but you just brought this professionalism. And I'd like to see you play a guy who was even kind of bigger and wilder and madder. Like, I'd like to see you go another notch. I think you could be genuinely terrifying, and and yet vulnerable. I've got another show that I want to make. Hopefully Plum is successful enough they let me do it again, and there's a nice little part in there that I think I think it might have Jammer's name all over it.
I like it, man. And I think like I've already said, look, I've got my acting training from watching The Trip, and
we will rise at dawn.
We leave at first light.
We will leave it. We'll leave.
And tomorrow we battle. We may lose our
after
lives.
first light. What
But
was that?
remember this: death but be a moment. Cowardice is a lifetime of affliction. Gentlemen, to bed.
To bed.
To bed.
We'll rise at dawn.
I'm looking forward to this. I hope I get the opportunity again. I've got to say, it blew my mind.
Did it?
Going on set, I was like, what is everyone doing here? Like, what's everyone rolled? There was
Because there's just one, to tell the viewers. Do you have on podcasts?
viewers, listeners, both.
Rounders.
Rounders.
There's only one dude here other than us. How many was there?
For us to do this, it's Charlie and Tony. So we're quite a small team. But for on set, there was cast of thousands.
We were actually running 2 units on that day too to get it, because we actually had to lose some days because of the budget. We went over budget, probably with your fee. Actually.
Yeah, I know.
And that whole
you get what you pay for, though.
The trailer and the limo and and makeup artist and the masseuse and the macrobiotic chef. And I think you wanted a guy to just give you compliments, to stand there, kind of like Donald Trump has. You know,
and all the things that, in my I need this. I need room temperature water.
Yeah, elderflower, all these sort of things. But it was worth it. You see that on screen, what we bought. But we were running 2 units that day with both directors around Moore Park, shooting all sorts of parts of the episodes. And also there was presentations and cast, and I was doing an interview with you in my trailer. My agent was there. My mate from England turned up, and it was just like this last day. And I had so much emotion here. We finally finished the day where it starts episode 6, where my character has won State of Origin, this beautiful slow motion montage where he's and we had all these extras in New South Wales Blues outfits crossing in that beautiful Sydney cricket ground sheds, and the camera just creeping in on this dolly and me kind of we've like the highest moment Peter Lum's ever had in his career. Probably man of the match, captain, State of Origin, Game 3. And when the camera finally got to me, I just started flooding with tears and going, fuck yeah. And it looks so real because of the moment I was playing, but really it was me letting go of 5 years of the book, of the TV show, of the whole shooting of 9 weeks, of doing all the jobs I did, working with you, and just and it all kind of came out in that one take, and then it was over.
As well, when we finished, I was like, "Oh, but what? It'll be out next week." And you're like, "No, now's when the work starts." I was like, "What? Like, really? Do we not? Like, surely it's." Like, cut a bit there, boom, boom, boom. It's like took 6 months to put together.
Yeah, and that's kind of fast turnaround television.
Yeah,
really.
like, wow.
Because we shoot in blocks. So, the first 3 episodes is filmed by one director. So you do all the first 3 episodes in the cafe, in the bedroom, in the backyard, in the pool, at the footy oval. They go and start editing as the second director comes in. And then they do the cafe, the house, 4, 5, 6. So you do 2 blocks. So you kind of do 2 laps of all the locations.
Yeah.
But with a new director. And by the time we finish our second block, they've cut episode 1, and we can watch it. So sometimes I've been in TV shows where we're still filming and it's on TV, or, things are getting whipped up so quick. But we had, probably we actually didn't have a TX date when we finished. We didn't know when it was going to be on. There was talks of next February, but luckily it happened closer to the rugby league season to get all this wonderful media opportunities. And, because you have to edit the whole thing, then you do a colour grade, so you make sure all the images kind of fit together in the palette, and then you do a sound mix to make sure, because you're shooting outside, that our voices sound the same, and you put the soundtrack in, you know what I mean? And then you have screenings with the network and test screenings, and you change things, and so it
is actually incredible what goes into it.
Yeah.
Like, I was, like I say, completely blown away. Brendan, it's been great to sit and talk with you. All things Plum,
Always
all things
is.
acting. I mean this, like, I had such a good time. If I was a one-hit wonder, then so be it. I was only in the one scene. If that's all I've got to show for my acting career, then it's been a success. So I guess we'll see where it goes. But
it was an honour to have you on set, and thank you also for supporting the project so wonderfully as well. It meant a lot to us.
Well, I understand where this needs to go. This issue with not just looking after former rugby league players, current rugby league players.
Yeah.
It speaks to a lot of men as well.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
if we can keep moving in the right direction, put some more work, inspire some conversations, change people's lives. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I think what you said, I'm struggling. Like, let's normalise that as 2 words that men can say.
Yeah.
What a beautiful thing.
Yeah, not just I'm okay. Perfect. Thanks, Brendan. Appreciate it, mate. Thanks for coming in.